Hi, and welcome to Lesson 8. This is one of our shorter lessons, and it's on skin homeostatic imbalances, and we're also going to talk about burns a little bit. So first, we're going to talk about different infections and allergies. So I'm sure you've probably all heard of athlete's foot. This is a fungal infection that causes really itchy skin, a lot of times in between the toes. Basically, it's kind of when you wear the same pair of shoes for a really, really long time and you're probably sweating in those shoes and you're really just kind of overdoing it. You can use like powders. You've probably heard of Tufactin, Tinactin. Then we have boils and carbuncles, which are kind of like acne. This is the inflammation of hair follicles and sebaceous glands, and this can be caused by a bacterial infection. And sometimes they can just get clogged with dirt and oil as well. Then we have cold sores. These are small fluid-filled blisters that are caused by the herpes simplex infection. A different type of herpes, probably not the one that you immediately think of, but this is the type of herpes that causes cold sores. So you actually have to have the herpes virus in order to get them. So that's why a lot of times people just don't get cold sores because they don't have that herpes virus. Okay, so here is our cold sore here. They can be really painful. I know that there's some topical stuff now that you can put on it right when you feel like you're getting one. That helps to kind of get rid of it faster. And then here we have athlete's foot. So it's a fungal infection kind of in between the toes, and it's really dry and itchy skin. Then we have contact dermatitis. So this is caused when you have some sort of chemical reaction to something. We don't have a lot of poison ivy in Arizona. We definitely have some, but not a lot, especially in Phoenix. But where my husband is from, they have lots of poison ivy there, and he said he used to get a poison ivy rash all the time, and a lot of times it can blister and swell, and it's really itchy. Then you have impetigo. Impetigo is caused by staph. This is, once again, pink water-filled lesions that will rupture. Impetigo is really nasty, and they'll put you on antibiotics right away. And then we have psoriasis. This is psoriasis here. It looks really patchy when you look at it, and some people it's really red. Other people it can be this kind of white color. But it's thought to be an autoimmune disease, which means the body is actually attacking itself. And it's an overproduction of skin cells that actually results in these epidermal patches and lesions. There's lots of new medicine out for psoriasis, though, where it's really starting to clear it up, which is awesome. All right, our big homeostatic imbalance for this unit is burns. And burns is tissue damage and cell death caused by intense heat, electricity, sunburn, or chemicals. Burns are dangerous for two reasons. One, you lose a lot of fluid. You lose a lot of interstitial fluid that's surrounding your cells, and these contain really important proteins and electrolytes. So if you have a lot of pretty severe burns, they're going to get an IV in you extremely quickly because you're losing a lot of fluid. And probably the most dangerous thing with burns is your skin is your outer coating. I mean, it's your ultimate protection. And when you have burns, or when you've burned a large proportion of your skin, I mean, it's so easy for pathogens to get in here. And a lot of people do die of some sort of infection when they have a lot of burns that maybe aren't healing so quickly. This is a really cool picture. It's called the Rule of Nines. So you've probably heard on like the news, like they'll say, this individual, this victim had 36% second degree burns all over their body. This is how they actually count the percentage of burns on people. So for example, let's say you're in like a house fire and you burn your entire anterior chest and your anterior abdominal area. They would say you have 18% of your body burned. So kind of cool. That's how they use this, and this is called the Rule of Nines. So they take these areas and they consider this about 9% of your body. They consider this about 9% of your body. The head, the front is 4.5, the back is 4.5. the front of your arms is 4.5, the back of your arms is 4.5. So they really use this to kind of calculate how much percentage of a victim's body is burned. So let's talk about our 3 types of burns. First degree burns, it only really damages the epidermis, not usually serious. This is your basic sunburn or ouch, I accidentally touched my curling iron for a quick second, that kind of stuff. Second degree burns, the difference you can tell is blisters are gonna appear. So sometimes when you burn yourself like on your oven or something, you may actually see little blisters pop up. That's a second degree burn. These 2 usually aren't serious and heal. You know, this one can be within days. This one might take a little bit longer. And then third degree burns are the ones we got to worry about. This burns through the epidermis, dermis, and even can go down into the hypodermis. So you're really destroying the entire thickness of the skin. And it appears black or gray. And this is when you have to go get a skin graft. You're not going to be able to just regenerate new skin because it's entirely burned through. So we have our first degree burns. It's going to affect just the epidermis. The second degree burns is going to be the epidermis and the dermis. And then your third degree burn is going to be your entire thickness of the skin with that black and gray skin. Down here would just be an example of a first degree burn. Okay, the last thing we're going to talk about is skin cancer. So there's 3 major types of skin cancers that we're going to talk about. One is basal cell carcinoma, and this is the one that we see the first 2 really in Arizona quite a lot because we're exposed to a lot of sun. Really, you kind of just go in and a dermatologist will actually dig it out and then look at it underneath a microscope, see if there's any more cancer cells or irregular cells, and they actually will just keep kind of digging it out. This is kind of how they treat both of these. They kind of just keep digging out that area of skin and keep going back, and they look at it under the microscope, and once it's clear of irregular cells, then you're kind of good to go. They'll patch you up and you're out. So these 2, aren't super serious, but can definitely be a problem if you don't get checked out. And then the third one is the one we have to worry about, malignant melanoma. So this is the cancer of the melanocytes, okay? And this is very deadly. This is when you have a lot of DNA damage in a cell, and your chance of survival is typically only 50%. Okay, so there's basal cell carcinoma, easy remove. Now this is an important chart right here. This is the ABCD rule. So this is how dermatologists and you, just when you're looking over your body, should look for. So if a mole changes, then there may be an issue. So always look for asymmetry, meaning that the mole should kind of be the same shape. And as we look here, it's really not, and the 2 halves look very different from each other in color and in shape. When you look over here, B stands for border irregular. This means that once again, it's a really odd shaped mole. Then we have color. Anytime a mole changes color or it has varying shapes, sometimes that can be very dangerous. And then diameter. Obviously, if your mole is growing in size, that's a big no, and you need to go get it checked out. So what you need to really look for is change. So if you have a mole and all of a sudden it changes and you have different asymmetry, or the shape changes, or it gets much larger, or it starts to vary a lot in color, that's when you really need to go get it checked out. Okay, thanks for watching Lesson 8. Please make sure you filled out your note guide and watch again if you need to fill anything in. Thanks, have a great day.